Hello, my name is Dr. Ruthie. I'm a professional sexuality educator and a relationship coach over at exploringintimacy.com. And thanks to the great folks at Funwares, I'm here answering your questions on sex and relationships. You can send them on over to AskDrRuthie at funwares.com, AskDrRuthie at funwares.com. The last video I did for this week, I talked about different ways for men to masturbate and thus learn how to increase their stamina and pleasure during intercourse. What about guys who last longer than they want to during intercourse? What can we do there? Well, I'm here to help you and give you some things to think about and some techniques that may be useful for you. The first thing I want to talk about is who says what is too long? How do we know when too long is too long? We don't necessarily have a universal standard, not even in the field of sex education, of how long a guy should last during intercourse. What is a healthy amount of time? What is too long? What is too short? Really, this is determined by the guy and his partner. And sometimes expectations are not terribly realistic. 2 minutes of intercourse is a fairly standard amount of time, but lots of guys last a lot shorter and lots of guys last a lot longer. Now, there's this kind of stereotype out there that for guys, lasting longer, lasting an unlimited amount of time is a wonderful thing. However, the guys who actually are able to last forever realize that it is not necessarily such a good thing, especially if they're not choosing to last that long. But guys, if you're having difficulty reaching orgasm, you're turned on, you want it, it's great, but the orgasm just isn't happening for you. Um, these stereotypes that we have about how long a guy should last and about guys, the ultimate guy being able to last forever during penetration, these are stereotypes that don't necessarily hold true for much of anyone, right? I'm sure for some people they do, but that doesn't necessarily mean it holds true for you and your sweeties. So now that we talked about what is too long and realize that it's totally self-defined, so take a good look at how you define it and where that definition came from. I want to ask the follow-up question. Are you lasting too long or is it just too boring? Now, sometimes we get bored because something does last too long, but sometimes it doesn't take really any time at all for it to feel boring and feel like it's too long because it's just not interesting. This weeds out a certain number of the situations for gentlemen. Guys, if you find yourself just getting bored right off the bat, sometimes even before you started, the problem isn't necessarily with lasting too long. The problem is likely that things have gone a bit stale in the bedroom, and either your partner has interests that are very different from you, or neither of you are that interested in the sex that you're having, but you're having it anyway. It's better than nothing, right? Now is the time to communicate, clear up your expectations, and enjoy some great exploration of fantasy together. Fantasy that, just stays in your head, fantasy that you share verbally, and fantasy that you share physically as well. And I've got some great tips on fantasy in my other videos, or drop me a line. I love working with people on these topics. But the first thing to consider really is it too long or just too boring? And the boringness is not because of the duration. The next thing for you to look at is how is your warm up and your foreplay? Guys, again, the stereotype kicks you in the butt. You should be ready and eager at any point in time. And just because you have an erection means you must be ready and eager to use it for penetration. These things are not necessarily true, and for many guys, they're not true much of the time at all. Depends on the guy. So make sure that you're engaging in the kind of warm up and the kind of foreplay that gets you really aroused and excited. You don't necessarily have to jump into intercourse as soon as you or your partner gets the idea of doing so, or as soon as socially it seems like you should be doing it. There is nothing wrong with slowing it down and exploring and enjoying it and getting yourself really turned on and revved up with your partner. And I suspect your partner will enjoy that too. Again, communication is key, making sure you're doing things you both like, of course. Um, Take a quick thought about what kind of drugs you're taking, prescription and otherwise. Certain types of substances make it really difficult to get aroused or to have an orgasm once you're aroused. And I'm particularly thinking of certain antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications, but you know what? There's a whole wealth of different kinds of medications and prescriptions and things that can cause problems for arousal and orgasm for men as well as for women. Talk to your doctor, talk to your pharmacist. Pharmacists are highly trained. Give them a ring. They don't even need to know your name. Just tell them what you've been doing and ask them about potential side effects. There's also quality websites you can look this up on, but calling the pharmacist is generally free, or bring it up the next time you're with your doctor. Or give them a call. Having your own, professional who knows you well can be a particularly good benefit. If you can't talk about these topics with your physician, it's time for another physician, my friend. So look at the substances that you're taking. Also, lots of street drugs and even legal things like alcohol and cigarettes can definitely have impacts on our sex lives. How is your fantasy life going? If you find that you're concentrating really hard during this whole time, you may be able to keep it up and keep going, but it may not be turning you on enough to have that orgasm. Taking a look at different ways to increase that fantasy life, as I mentioned before, can be really useful, both in your foreplay and during your penetration. Again, drop me a line, check out my other videos. I'd love to talk with you about this more. The last thing I want to bring up is maybe intercourse isn't your best way of getting off, or maybe it isn't your best way of getting off without some other stuff mixed in. And this may come as a surprise to folks, but research shows us that penetrative intercourse oftentimes isn't people's number one sexual activity. It isn't their best way to get off, and it isn't the thing that they enjoy the most anyway. So, just because we have these stereotypes about intercourse being, the only thing that can define sex, or that sex is defined as, and that it should be the thing you love and the thing you always want to do and the way you always get off, these stereotypes were not made with your best interests in mind. Throw them in the trash if they're not useful for you. Lots of people, it is manual sex or oral sex or sex toys. And manual sex includes masturbation as well as from partners, and that's how they get their orgasms. There's nothing that says that, unless you're trying to get pregnant, there's nothing that says that you have to be having your orgasms during intercourse. Enjoy some intercourse for a while and then switch to another activity, or do another activity and then do intercourse and go back, whatever the case may be. You may also want to look at enhancing your intercourse a little bit. There are different kinds of lotions and potions and things that may make you more sensitive. Pay attention to the ingredients. Look them up if you don't know what they are. Make sure you're choosing body healthy, condom safe, and safe for the orifice of whoever you're having penetration with as well. And also, there's other things too. There's different kinds of vibrators that are made to stimulate both the receiver and the giver during intercourse. And you might also look at some anal and prostate stimulation. Prostate and anal play is not specific to any sexual orientation. These nerves in our bodies exist regardless of who or what we're attracted to. And they're there, so have fun with them. Why would you want to lose out on something awesome just because there's some sort of weird stereotype out there that you don't like? Again, toss it in the trash. It clearly wasn't made with your best interest in mind. So, regardless of who you like to do and how you like to do it, you can go ahead and engage in some anal play as well, with a wonderful toy, with fingers, with all kinds of different things. Just make sure you're buying a high quality product that was meant for that purpose. And also to remember that maybe intercourse just isn't the way you're going to be getting off, and that is cool too, my friend. All right, so consider all of these different things, guys who find yourselves taking longer than you want to. And you're also welcome to drop me a line. And yeah, I'm Dr. Ruthie, and I hope that this video was helpful for you and your partners who would like to be able to get off more promptly. I will see you at the next video. Bye.